Now, there's something I want to ask you, and you'll be surprised
Okay.
that I know this.
Okay.
It seems like you hate AI.
No, I don't.
You don't hate AI.
No, I don't.
But it seems like whatever a post is made against it, you contribute.
I contribute.
Very well. Now, this is an opportunity for you to actually write. Why do you hate AI?
I don't know, Trooks, don't say that. I don't hate AI.
Hi, everyone. Today, I'm having a very important person, Feyipitan Sadiku. She is well known for her thoughtful engagement on LinkedIn, and she has over 6,000 followers. So, yeah. Now, I've seen Feyi. Feyi is so beautiful in real life.
Thank you.
And she's exciting to be. She's full of, should I say, the Gen Z world vibes, and she has achieved a lot. So she's not small. I could have said she's small but mighty, but she's big but mighty as well. So not be small person she'd be. Look at her CV, you can see, full of details. Yeah. So I'm happy to have her here. Feyi, welcome to my show.
Thank you so much, Trooks, for having me. Hello, everyone. It's great to be here.
She speaks like.
Don't mind, Trooks.
Feyi, first and foremost is that you're a Nigerian, right?
I'm Nigerian, yes. Yoruba.
Yoruba. You studied in Ghana, now US, in the Midwest.
Yeah.
And you're planning to go to other part of the US again.
Yes.
So how has this shaped your life, studying in different contexts and everything?
Yeah, so just like Chuk said, I got my bachelor's degree in psychology from the University of Ghana, Legon, the first of the best of the rest. And then I came to the US about 3 years after for my master's degree in social work, and I'm transitioning to a different field and going again to get a potential PhD program. I think one of the things I've really been blessed to experience in my life is being an international student within the African context in Ghana and here in the US. And these experiences have broadened my understanding of the world around me. I feel like because I've been an international student, I've known how to better work with different groups of students. I see, different perspectives, different angles about things. And of course, it's always great to know that when you meet people and you say, hey, I'm from Nigeria, and they're like, wow, you're Nigerian, how did you get here? What are you here for? And so on and so forth. So it's a very rich experience that provides you with multiple diverse perspectives, which is something I've enjoyed.
Wow. And did you enjoy the Ghana jollof there?
Ghana jollof is good. It's good. I'm not going to get into jollof wars. I will say yes, it is good.
But Nigerian jollof is the best, right?
I refuse to answer that question.
You don't need to answer.
Yes, I refuse to answer.
That's
Nigerian
betrayal.
jollof is good. Ghana jollof is good.
Okay, the Nigerian community watching her.
What do you have to say about this?
When she comes, because she'll be vying for a political position very soon. Don't vote for her. You just earned a degree in social work, master's degree in social work with a distinction. And distinction, a high distinction, almost a perfect CGPA. And you had multiple jobs from being a TA and doing some practicum. How did you achieve this feat with all these challenging schedules?
Yes, I like to tell people that nothing really truly prepared me for coming to graduate school. I think that when we are on the way, you feel like I've done undergrad, I can be a grad student, like I can be a student, I know how to be a student. But for example, in my own context, when I was in undergrad, I never worked during school. I did have a hairstyling business that I used to do, but it was on my own terms, on my own time, and so on. Coming to grad school was the first time where I really had to juggle what it meant to have work and to also have school. And it was really like busy. It was a lot of things to navigate. For example, in my final year of my master's degree, I had to juggle classes, a full 20-hour GA as well as a full 20-hour practicum. I'm not going to say that I was the best at always managing my time or managing, my busy schedule, but I think I made it work. When you come to the US as an international student, you know that the finish line is a must. And so I had that in mind, and I just kept persevering, and of course finding pockets of time to take care of myself, take care of my mind, and so on. But really, it's just the awareness that I must get to the finish line, and so I kept persevering until I got there.
Okay. Oh, so in ISU, that is Illinois State University, the master in social work, it takes 3 years, or you decide to actually do it within 3 years?
Okay, so that's a good question. On the 9th of May, when I was graduating from the social work program, one of the things that was interesting is all of the people who were graduating with me, they were people who had done their program for 1 year, 2 years, 3 years, and 4 years. And that's how interesting the social work program is. And I think it's like that in many other schools, but specifically at ISU. At ISU, if you have a bachelor's degree in social work, you go into what is called an accelerated program. If you do not have a bachelor's degree in social work, which I did not have, you go into what is called the foundational program. And the foundational program could add anywhere between a year or 2 years, depending on if you are full-time or part-time. And so social work generally is already a 2-year program. And when they then add the foundational year, it becomes a 3-year program. I could have decided to do it in 2 years. However, the reality of how busy my schedule was going to be just made me decide that the 3 years was worth it for my mental stability, and that was what I went for. And a lot of the people in my class and a lot of the people who get this degree from ISU also take the same 3 years. So yeah.
Now you said something about mental stability, and I know what it means, because when I was back home in Nigeria, I didn't take that mental stability, mental health issue seriously. I would say, the average notion is that Africans will, you always have a way to escape the reality, especially when you are not feeling the right state of mind.
Yeah.
But here I've occasionally been depressed as a result of my schedules and life. Or how did you manage your mental health throughout your this busy schedule?
I will confess that it's something that I'm still managing, honestly, something that I'm still figuring out. Just like you said, coming to grad school was really the first time I also had time to look at what it meant to have mental well-being. And I think that all of us have the things, we all, when you come to grad school, I think it's a journey or a process of getting to know yourself better. I tell people that I got to really know myself as an adult in grad school. So I had a lot of, as just like you said, different episodes. For example, adjusting to the weather. For example, just feeling the mental weight of not being able to take a break. Because as an international student, you don't have the privilege of being like, okay, never mind, I'm going to defer this semester, or never mind, I just want to take one class this semester so that I can have a reduced course load. You have to be full-time all through. You have to keep going. You don't have the luxury of deferring. And so it was really difficult to navigate all of those things, but I really keyed into my faith. I'm a Christian, and I think that's one of the things that really helped. And I also had a church family. They were really people who were supportive, who sometimes would say, let's take you out or come over to visit us. And just that time to distress was helpful. I also had a good community of other Nigerian students, and sometimes we would gather together and just call it a rant session, or just a session for us to play games and get to distress and take our minds off it. At the end of my first year of grad school, I also really discovered the power of fitness. Going to the gym, taking walks, all of those things. Physical fitness definitely really helps with your mental health as well. And also just taking time to recognize when I was really tired, because there are some times when it was just like, I have nothing to give. If I don't take a break, I'm going to, struggle a lot. So those are some of the things that I did that also really helped.
Anyway, let me expose this more. Were you consistent in doing your gym?
I think I had a period of time when I was really consistent. I think I had a year where I would say, I'm serious, where I say I was consistent. However, when I got to my final semester, honestly, it got so busy that, I was keeping a lot of late nights, just struggling, finishing my research work, my practicum, that the gym just did not feel like something that I needed to prioritize. So in the last few months, honestly, I haven't prioritized. I don't think I've even stepped into the gym at all. But it's something that I hope that I can pick up again, because I've seen that my life is better when I do go to the gym. Like it's not about the way your body looks, but just how you feel, and to take care of yourself. And it's just a cycle of self-care that I think it's good for all of us to do.
I know when you graduated, it was all over the place.
What do you mean all over the place?
People were celebrating you. Congratulations. Mm-hmm. And I know deep down, whenever I'm being told congratulations, I'll be thinking about what's next going forward. So I know you have completed your first master's. What do you plan to do going forward?
So before I answer that, what you mentioned about the congratulations period. So anybody who follows me on LinkedIn or who goes through my LinkedIn page will know that the weeks leading up to my graduation, I was documenting how I was feeling. And one of the things I was saying is there's multiple emotions. There's the feeling of I'm about to graduate. Oh my gosh, I'm so happy, I'm going to be free from grad school. But there's also the reality of, did I do everything I could have done? Am I prepared for what's next? There's also the place where, as an international student, you are actually asking the question of what is actually next. There's also the pressure of, okay, what about your finances? Are you going to get time to rest? So there were definitely a lot of emotions for me as I was walking the stage. I mean, gratitude was the topmost emotion, but if I'm being sincere, I also had just this anxiety. In fact, the days leading up to my graduation, I was having a lot of panic attacks, because I was thinking to myself, what am I doing? Like, I've gotten to this point, I've gotten to this stage, I should be happy, but there's just that feeling of, okay, so what am I supposed to be doing next? And that was because up until 2 days until my graduation, which was May 7th, I actually did not know what I was going to be doing next. But on May 7th, I got an email that I think is going to be one of those emails that I will remember for a long time as a life-changing one. So I had applied to go to grad school again last year, and on May 7th, and with all the things that happened with funding cuts this year, funding was really just difficult to come by, or full funding. I'd gotten some offers, for example, gotten an offer from UPenn, but the funding was just not enough. And so I had thought to myself, okay, maybe I should do something else. But even the something else, I just had all of these questions. And so 2 days before graduation, I got an offer for a fully funded program at the University of Oklahoma, which is where I'll be going to next. So I'm looking forward to that. I'm going into a master's program, but it's a program that has a pipeline into a doctoral program, which is where I hope that, all things being equal, I will end up getting my doctorate from there.
Can you tell us about the program you're going to? You just say you're going to a program. What's the name of the program?
So this program at the University of Oklahoma is called Learning Experience Design and Technology. It's a study of how people learn and how we can enhance learning and learning spaces through various platforms, mediums, and all kinds of things. Again, if you know a little bit about the work I have done, what I share about, I'm really passionate about how people learn and how we can support people to learn, whether within the classroom or outside of the classroom. So I have a lot of ideas and interests, and I'm hoping that when I get into this program, those things can take shape, and I can, get a singular or just some focus in what I want to do, and use that to continue to better the work that I already do.
Wow. Let's go back down to memory lane. In Ghana, where you studied at the UG, you actually led some group of students in tutorial. You did tutorial with some group of students.
So I actually didn't do a tutorial. I had a study group.
Group.
Yeah, so when I was in my second year in the University of Ghana, as a psychology student, we had to take a class called biological psychology, and it was a really tough science class, because it had to do with a lot of things with the brain, with hormones, chemicals, and things like that. And so I had this group of friends. We weren't really friends, we just kind of were acquaintances, like 2 of us know 2 of you and 3 of us know 2 of you, that kind of thing. And one of them was like, guys, this class is going to be difficult. I think we should start a study group and just meet frequently. And so we started that in, I think, our first semester of our second year, and it just became a thing that we were like, we actually really like studying together. on this subject, on this topic, and it became a thing. And what happened is I ended up being like an unofficial leader, where anytime we met together, I would like anchor the session. Okay, so what are we doing today? Who's leading what questions do we have, making sure there was decorum and so on. And I had this group of 10 friends throughout my undergrad, and even today we're all still friends. Our study group, our group is literally still titled on WhatsApp study group, and this is what 6 years since graduation. So it was one of those things that was very, very, very useful for me as an undergrad. And I will confess that when I even came to grad school, I wanted to have a study group, but grad school, the dynamics of grad school is so different that I couldn't really have a study group. But if I could, I would have a study group in grad school as well.
Wow. So how has that shaped your approach and your mentoring skill now?
I think that my study group was one of the places I first really discovered that I actually enjoy the concept of teaching. And I say that loosely because I wasn't teaching in my study group. I was literally just facilitating the conversation. But it was at that place that I realized, oh, I like it when we figure out complex questions, when we're arguing about past questions and who is right and who is wrong and so on. And I took some of those skills and interests into the work I then got after school. Some of the things we used to do in my study group, some of the fun things we used to do, I incorporated it into the job I was working at as a program manager, and eventually that became all of the things that I do today. So my study group was really the first place that I was, learning how to support people when they were learning.
Wow. So now, can we talk about Hope Chicago? Can you tell me more about it?
So in the last 3 years of my graduate school experience, I have worked as a graduate assistant for a program called Hope Chicago at ISU. So Hope Chicago is a 2-generational scholarship program, and what that means is that mom or dad and child can go to college for free. The Hope Chicago program sponsors youths from the city of Chicago through 5 public high schools. The whole point of Hope Chicago is to literally break down the barrier. I think that sometimes people say bridging the gap, but I think it's more than bridging the gap. The program is literally breaking down any barrier, especially barriers like finances. So it's a full ride program, tuition is covered, room and board, stipend, books, everything. And so at ISU, we have a group of students who had come from, my first year until my third year. By the time I was graduating in my third year, we had 100+ students in the program. And so as a graduate assistant, I was just in charge of, again, supporting students from their journey from literally from signing the acceptance to say, hey, I'm coming to ISU, until when they graduate. And that involved all kinds of things. There's program support, there's resource matching, there's telling them, go to this person in this department or in this office to support you with this learning need. There's all kinds of things like boy drama, there's helping them navigate family challenges, interpersonal challenges, and so on. But one of the things I really enjoyed there was I got to build like a little curriculum for a career series. So I was helping my students with navigating their career development. We were doing things like CV writing. I was helping them learn how to do an elevator speech and so on and so forth. It's such a beautiful program, and it was an honor to be able to support these students. And I'm hoping next year we're going to be graduating some people from our first cohort, and I'm hoping I can come back to join them to, cheer them on as they graduate.
The way you are sounding and the way you actually you are saying it seems like you didn't face any challenge.
Oh, of course not.
So because I know these are unique populations,
yes,
because considering their background being underrepresented. So what are the key challenges you faced while doing this particular graduate assistantship?
I think that there were different kinds of challenges. First of all was obviously the challenges I personally had. My first time working with this group of students, it was my first time ever. And I'd worked with African students, but African students are very different from American students. The way you engage in the classroom is different because our cultural and societal norms are different. And so it took me a bit to kind of navigate that. And of course, my beautiful Chicago students have an accent that's very different from how I speak. And they also think I have an accent. So we had to navigate some of those interpersonal things at first, just trying to get them to know that, hey, I'm different from you, but you can trust me. I'm different from you, but I support you, I'm rooting for you, and so on and so forth. But outside of myself and my own interpersonal things, one of the challenges that we experience is that sometimes, our students this is their first time in this kind of context, coming to a PWI, and the way they are interacting with a PWI is different. Sometimes our students also have systemic barriers that have influenced their journey so far. For example, quality of education. For example, being a first generation student. A lot of my students were first generation. What that means is they're the first in their families to go to college, so they don't have any role models. There's nobody to say this is how it's done. And so when they come to us, we're the first group of people that they know who are like, hey, you can actually do this college thing. There's also the place where sometimes students are not really sure what the purpose of why they're in college is for, right? Especially, there are people who go to college who are like, I'm going to be a doctor. So they are like studying to be a doctor. And there are people who go to college like, I'm just going because it's the right thing to do. So helping students with career exploration and development could be a challenge as well. There's also just other challenges. A lot of my students were frequently homesick. There was also mental health challenges. There's also teaching them new ways of interpersonal relationships. And of course, my students were also becoming adults in all of these situations. So just managing all of these things sometimes made academics complex for them.
You said your student will becoming adults.
Yeah.
How is that process of becoming adult affecting them and you as well?
I think becoming an adult is, first of all, navigating or identifying who you are in a room or in a space where there are other people. A lot of my students came from the same high school. So imagine that I came from this high school with 5 of my friends, and all of us, we've been friends since we were 13 years old. But now I come to college and I'm 19 and I'm 20. The things I like are changing, right? So I'm navigating what it means to be like, maybe I don't really like being friends with you anymore. And that's what I mean by some of the interpersonal things. Some other things is just identifying in this big world, who am I? What do I stand for? What are my values? When you come to college or uni, you meet people from all kinds of backgrounds, all kinds of religious orientations, thought processes. You have to navigate, who am I in this space? What do I believe? What is important to me? What do I value? And so on and so forth. We also have things like my students also learning how to communicate with professors or learning how to communicate with people who are in authority. So sometimes, they will send emails and you'll be like, you can't email like this, and you have to teach them like, this is the proper way to write an email, this is the proper way to speak or to address people in a formal setting, and so on and so forth. A big challenge was also advocacy. You have to teach your students how to advocate for themselves, because sometimes students maybe bomb a test, right? And instead of going to speak to the professor, they're afraid, or they feel like, there's no need. But there's no need means you have a D in the class or almost an F in the class. So teaching them that, hey, go speak to the professor, ask for help, seek help, do A, do B, and so on and so forth. So yeah.
Well, my guest is an award-winning educator.
Maybe, yes.
It's not maybe. She's an award-winning educator, and one of the awards she won is, I think you're the sole winner of that award nationally,
yes,
right?
for 2024.
Here in Illinois?
In the US.
In the US? Mm-hmm. The entire US? Wow. Can you tell us more about the award?
Okay, so in September of 2024, I received the first Star National Peer Mentor Award for the year 2024 here in the US. It was such a beautiful experience, but just a little bit of backstory. It's a very long story, but I'll start from 2023. I got a summer job to work as a college coach for a program called First Star Academy. And First Star is a national program, so it's in other universities in the US. Think about something like Trio. So if you're watching this, you might know what Trio is. Trio is a program for first gen students. First Star is a program for youth in care. And in this program, it's a college skills preparatory program. And what that means is that there's a lower statistics of foster youth who are going to college. And First Star is trying to change that statistic. We're trying to bring it up from what it is from a single digit number to a double digit number. At ISU, First Star Academy is the official academy for Illinois at this time. It's the only one for Illinois, and so we have students from different parts of Illinois. I'm sure we've had the students from DeKalb as well. So
we should.
So with First Star Academy, I was a college coach, and I really truly enjoyed that job. I got to work with youth in care, who were just supporting them through what does it look like to explore the process of actually going to college. There was just a lot of things. We used to do activities with them. It was a summer program. We visited campuses, we went to parks, we visited like the city of Bloomington, careers, all kinds of things. And in 2024, I was asked to come back again as a college coach, and I got to come back to do this again with them during the summer. Long story short, but there was an offer, or there was a request for a video, right? We had to do a video match at the end of the program to display on the award ceremony. And I had sort of volunteered, sort of, not fully. I was asked to do it, and I sort of volunteered to do the video. And it wasn't something I had to do, but it was something that I felt like could be done better, right? And sometimes that's what happens when you see something and you're like, oh, I think this could be better. If you see a problem and you have a solution, you should, perfect that solution. And that was what I did. And so I was working on the video for a while, just spending a lot of time on it. And then before the award ceremony, I was again asked to anchor the ceremony, to MC the ceremony. And even though I was like, me? Why me? But I love a good challenge. So I took up the challenge to anchor the ceremony and to play the video. And after playing the video, there was a standing ovation. It was so good. We had a room of about maybe 60, 70 people. And we had a representative from First Star National. So remember I said it's a national program. So from the actual main office, who came to the event, and she was so pleased with what she saw that she had just come up to me and we had talked a little bit, and we ended up exchanging some emails over a different matter. And then she reached out to me to let me know that I was being nominated for this award, which was again so humbling. I remember receiving that email and just crying, because it's sometimes when you're in the social impact field, you feel like you're working a lot, you're doing a lot of things, and you don't get the recognition of the awards or the money that you think you should get. And so receiving that kind of email was just validating that, okay, I'm doing one thing right, somebody sees me. And then in September of last year, I ended up receiving the actual award, which again, just a very beautiful experience.
Wow. Yeah. So would you take, for instance, if you're given an opportunity to become a minister of education in Nigeria, would you accept the challenge? Would you consider that as a good challenge? I mean, you can do it.
Maybe, possibly. I think it's one of those things where, yes.
I feel like you are very creative, innovative, and you like, unquote, good challenge. And I think it's a very good challenge for you to go back to Nigeria.
I think Chooks wants to set me up. We'll see what the future holds, Chooks.
I mean, in the future, she will be there. I mean, like, she's already a national asset here in the United States. And she has, the potential is there for her to actually do more. So, and I trust the United States, they will grab her. But before then, I feel like we here in Nigeria have seen a lot of great people. And Feyi is one of them. Even though she tries to be too humble, she tried to be economical with her achievements. She has won several fellowships. But because I know some of you are not interested in lengthy videos or episodes, I'll just ask her some of those key things that some of you would like to hear from her. You are working with Getting Consulting.
I used to work with Getting Consulting.
And with them, you have been able to help so many people to get admission to graduate school here in the US, right?
In the US and other countries in the world.
In the US and other countries of the world. So what are the barriers that most international students or prospective international students face during the application process, and how have you been able to provide solution?
Yeah, a lot of people know me from Getting Edu because during my time at Getting Edu, I spent a total of 3 years with Getting Edu. Well, I worked with Getting as a staff. My first year with Getting, I was actually a student. I had signed up to be a part of the boot camp because I also wanted to come to grad school. And because of the star girl that I am and the person that I am, I ended up getting a job offer to work as a community engagement lead with Getting Edu. So I worked with Getting Edu for 2 years. And I think that the biggest thing, or the biggest barrier generally that I came to recognize, is that people don't know what they don't know. I think it's just a knowledge and information barrier. And that's why a community or a program like Getting exists. Anytime I talk about Getting, I always like to give a shout out. I'm a Get In baby through and through. Like I said, I was a student at Get In, and then I became a staff at Get In. So I know what it's like to be a student, and I know what it's like to be a staff, and I got value on both sides. So the first thing is really the knowledge and information barrier. People don't know what they don't know. And the process by which we as Nigerians go to school is very different from how applications here are. So if people know what they're supposed to do, if they understand that, I'll give you an example. When I was in undergrad, I used to think that only people who had like exceptional first class degrees or exceptional grades could ever get scholarships in the US. When I even wanted to apply to grad school, I wasn't trying the US at first because I was like, the US, I will never be there. I will never make it there, you know. And through the process of being at Getting, I realized that there's really there's nothing I can do it. So that's one thing. I think the second thing is also the thing of a lot of us when we're in undergrad, and I'm not ashamed to say that even when I was in Ghana, it was the same for me. We don't do a lot outside of our traditional going to class and getting good grades. So what happens is that it's time for you to write those essays, and they ask you, tell us about a time you were a leader. Tell us about a time you started an initiative, and you're just like, I didn't do anything. You know, you realize that throughout your 4 years, you didn't do anything. So I think that sometimes can be a challenge for people. We also have the challenge of things like transcripts. I think that transcripts, West evaluation, all those things involved, it was a really big challenge for a lot of students. And I do know that there are some people, individuals who are trying to, you know, fix that issue. And I know it's getting tougher by the year, but hopefully we can get to a point where we have more seamless ways of actually helping students access their transcripts. I also have letters of recommendations. I think for a lot of people, letters of recommendations are really difficult to come by because, again, most of us go to class, we get our good grades, and we go home. Most people don't get to build relationships with their professors, with all of those people. So when it's time to write letters of recommendations, and let's say you apply to 10 schools and you need 3 letters of recommendations for each one, that's already 21 letters, 3 times 10, 30 letters, and you have to navigate how to, you know, get people to make these attestations for you and so on. So yeah, that's definitely some of the challenges. If you want me to speak to more, there's so much
I
more.
think another challenge is communication, especially digital communication. But I feel like most schools back home, personally, I didn't exchange any. Like, I didn't send an email to any of my professors except the final year I had my project supervisor. We communicated via the email. Like, that shaped my communication here as well. And I'm just imagining, like, most persons back home, except you went to a very fancy or private universities, most people are unable to actually communicate via email. And if you are writing international applications, sometimes you need to send cold email, and it's their first time of actually sending cold email. So, and people don't actually say much about it, and I think it's a very big challenge. But going forward, what different would you like to see in terms of international students?
So Chooks just opened the floodgates for 1 million things I'd like to say, but I'll keep it brief. Before I worked at Getting, I worked for a company called Novostack. It was an educational technology program, and what we're trying to do was to build the skill sets of African entrepreneurs, young African entrepreneurs. So we mostly worked with people who were graduates. I think most of the population we had were graduates. And then I transitioned into the role at Getting. And between these 2 jobs, I saw that, like you said, there was definitely a gap somewhere. People could have first class degrees and they still found it hard to be able to either sell themselves or to be able to effectively communicate about the skills and tools and experiences and whatnot that they had. And so, and then I came to the US and I became a graduate assistant and I started to do work on LinkedIn, and I just realized that the gap just continues to exist and sometimes it continues to broaden. And so one of the things I have done and I continue to do is I have something called the Your Story Your Way workshop, and it's a 2-day intensive 3-hour workshop, 6 hours in total, where I try to teach people how to tell stories, right? How to communicate, how to sit down and advocate for themselves, how to present their stories. You've done all of this great work. You've reached out to all of these people. You've mobilized all of these people. How do we put it down on paper in such a way that you become a global citizen that is sought after. And when I first wanted to do the Your Story Your Way workshop, I was like, nobody really cares. But guess what? Every time I put out this workshop, I'm getting lots and lots of people emailing, lots and lots of people signing up, and people telling me that, wow, nobody has ever taught me how to communicate like this. And these are people who have great grades. So it's not a question of, intelligence or smartness. It's that nobody has ever taught them. It's that that's not the system that we have. And so a lot of people don't learn it. In addition to that, I also recognize that the barrier is not only about writing stories. It's also about small things, like you said, emailing. It's also about where do I go for information. And so I just recently launched a program called the Cheat Codes to Career program, and that's one of the things that we're doing. We're going to teach you how to reach out, and this is for Nigerian and Ghanaian undergraduates. We're going to teach you how to do simple things like send cold email that details what you are trying to say. We're covering things about CV, things about executive presence, and so on and so forth. So a lot can be done in summary, but I think that on my own end, I'm contributing my own small quota, and it's by doing this kind of workshops of bridging the information gap, so that when people have information, they know how to get access. If somebody has information, they know that, wow, this thing is available for me, and then the access gap is broken down. The more we break down the information and access gap, the more we also close the poverty gap, the career attainment gap, and so on and so forth. And we can continue to raise Nigerian students who are global citizens and who can compete on any global level. I know we already have so many, but we want to have more. So, yeah.
Now, there's something I want to ask you, and you'll be surprised.
Okay.
that I know this.
Okay.
It seems like you hate AI.
No, I don't.
You don't hate AI.
No, I don't.
But it seems like whenever a post is made against it, you contribute.
I contribute.
Now, this is an opportunity for you to actually write. Why do you hate AI?
I don't know, Trooks, don't say that. I don't hate AI. I think that I think my problem with it is because I read a lot of essays. So through the Your Story Your Way workshop, I've had a lot of people who have been like, can you review my essay for me? And I've reviewed lots and lots and lots of essays. When I was working at Getting, obviously I was supporting students who wanted to come to grad school. So I used to read so many essays. And in the last year, especially in the last 2 years, with the introduction of ChatGPT and all of those things, I started to see essays where it was like everybody's saying the same thing because we're all using AI. So I'm using AI, you copy from me, you use AI, and the cycle just continues. And so you read statements of purposes or statements of purpose and personal statements and essays that all sound generic, that all sound alike. And so for me, as I go into my learning design and technology program, I think one of the things I also want to do is how can we use AI to actually tell more like unique stories. So I use ChatGPT, but I always tell people that ChatGPT should not be where you go to first. It should be your last step. Your Grammarly, all of those things should be your last step, or at least in the middle, not at the beginning. You have to have your own authentic ideas first, because whatever ChatGPT is giving you is giving 50 other people. And so we're all saying the same thing, but we're not the same. So why are we saying the same thing? Why are our stories? Why are we all passionate? Why are we all, and so on?
Why are you all delving?
I'm not part of this. So that's just where I'm coming from, because the more you read these essays, and that's why sometimes when people make comments on AI and people are like fighting them, I don't fight them, because as someone who again reads so many essays, I can understand why they feel that way, so yeah.
Anyway, thank goodness that I didn't remember that I'm stalking you, because how did I know this?
I'm not going to talk about that.
Well, you have won several awards, several fellowships, and according to you, it's few.
Yes, it's few. I need to win like the Obama Award. I have so many more I need to win, but continue.
I mean, just within 3 years here in the US, you have won several fellowships that I am unable to mention them here because of time. But what platform does this fellowship give you, and how do you use your voice to drive change for women, learners, and communities?
I think for fellowship programs, I like to learn new things, and because I love programs. So when I say I love programs, I love program designing, program management. That's what my background is in. So I'm always curious about programs. One thing about me is if somebody tells me, "Oh, I just got into this program," best believe I'm going to Google it, or I'll ask you, "What's it about?" "Oh, I've never heard of it." So, and even on LinkedIn, I follow places like opportunities for youth. Whenever I see a program, I always stop. "Oh, what's this about?" If I join a fellowship program, I like to see how are they doing this program, and when I have a program to do, how can I do it better than them, really? And I'm not doing it better than them to compete for money. I'm doing it better than them because I really want to be part of people who create life-changing programs. Fellowships have given me a platform for learning for myself, professionally and personally. Professionally, so I can become a better program manager, and personally, so that I can have more clarity and information about my career and the choices that I want to make. With programs and fellowships, I've also pushed myself. For example, getting into the Vital Voices Fellowship for women leaders, young women leaders, it was such a surreal experience for me because 3 years ago, I would never even have applied, but I would never even believe that I could get it. So I think it's also a boost for me, to be honest. It's like a validation that the work I'm doing is good. It's a validation that my work is important, that I matter, and so
You actually matter.
thank you. And so I just love to be able to apply for fellowships, and I also use it to test my writing skills, right? So I'm teaching people how to apply for opportunities. I want to make sure that me too, I can actually get opportunities. So sometimes I use my applications to test different writing skills and different writing patterns and so on, and see what I get back. So whenever I get good feedback, I'm always like, okay, that's another thing to teach my students.
Wow.
Yeah.
So, but I have an ask, and promise me you'll do it.
I can't promise. What's the ask?
Promise me you will do it.
I can't promise.
You know, I will set you up.
Tell me, what do you have?
Promise me that before you die, that you have a school in Africa.
What do you mean before I die? I don't even know when I'm dying.
You don't know, but before that,
if I'll have a school,
you should have. Not. It's not like, I feel like with your philosophy, with your approach to education and everything and teaching, I feel like you make a very good school now.
So I don't think I've ever thought about having a school.
But
however,
remember today,
I will definitely have programs.
I know you have programs, but we need you to have it.
Yes, I want to have an organization, but I don't want to have a traditional school. I think that a traditional school is not exactly what I'm trying to do. I'm trying to support the work that's already done in a traditional school.
Are you scared of the world?
I don't think it's that. I don't think my interest is just not in that. My interest is in the things that we need to do outside of the classroom that can support what is done in the classroom. Okay. So I see myself definitely having, and for sure I'm going to have an organization set up. I'm still thinking about a name, but it will be an organization that will then support these schools so that they can build and create students who have better skills, and we can close that access gap. So I don't know about a traditional school, but who knows?
You should.
Who knows? Maybe Chooks is seeing something.
We invest. Yeah, we invest
500 billion. So yeah.
I mean, she is so sound, and I feel like she has a very unique perspective on how students should be taught, how school should be run, and how teaching material should be designed, and that makes her very unique. And I just want her. I don't want only America to benefit from her. I want you to do.
Well, most of my programs now, I'm giving back to Nigeria. The Your Story Your Way workshop, most of the people who joined are Nigerians. The CCTC, most of the students are Nigerians. So I'm giving back to Nigeria.
When is your next application going to be open?
So for the CCTC, it's only going to be once this year, but next year we will do another cohort. But the Your Story Your Way workshop, definitely before the end of summer, there will be another.
Is it funded or?
So the Your Story Your Way workshop is free right now for everyone. There's really nothing, we're not doing any funding for that. But for the CCTC program, I'm hoping that next year we're going to be able to apply for grants. And I say we because I have a lovely small team of people who are working with me. I hope that we'll be able to apply for some grants and some funds so that we can better support the students that we're working with, and of course to also support the staff members who are working with me.
Okay, looking ahead now, because you're going to begin something very taxing and daunting, which is your PhD journey. What's your vision?
What's my vision? So I think with going to a doctoral program in education, I want to be that person who knows how to create life-changing curriculums. I want to be the person in 10 years that people will call to say, we have $1 billion to run a program. We need to call the best, and my name will be at the top of the list. I want to be that person who I step into a room and students don't flock to me just because, like, they flock to me because they see me as someone that will support their learning journey. I also want to be that person who is raising the next generation of people who will be better than me at teaching, at supporting students. I'm looking ahead to being a force in the industry, to be a person to reckon with globally, both in Nigeria. Nigeria is my home country, in Ghana because I love my Ghanaian people, and in the US. I also want to be someone who people can call when, let's imagine you have a room that has 100 different people, and someone will say, Feyi will know how to create a program that will bridge the cultural differences between these people. That's the kind of person I want to be. And finally, I hope that every student who sits in my class, in my workshop, they leave better than they came. I hope that everybody who comes knows how to write an essay, knows how to tell their story in a way that they can win as many global opportunities as they want.
Wow. It seems like, my last guest is, she did a program like this.
Okay.
And she's on the verge of actually starting up a consulting program in Latin America. And if you are interested, maybe I can actually connect you.
That would be great. Yes.
I'll connect you guys. I feel like you guys are two energies, and you have this passion, not ChatGPT passion, passion to contribute. Yes. Thank you very much for coming to my show. I wanted to ask her some personal questions, but if I ask her those personal questions, I know that she will punish me behind the camera. But she's talking about her PhD journey, and she didn't even say anything about, is there any man in the picture?
I'm currently single.
Currently single. In the next 10 years, you'll still be single?
I hope not.
You hope not?
Okay.
She's single. She's not desperate. Yeah, that's just it. And she's so selective. She just wants, not necessarily Otogo, but have sense.
I don't know who gave Chooks all of this information, but if you say so, thank you, Chooks.
I mean, don't chat me. I don't pick for anybody. So follow her on LinkedIn.
Yes, follow me on LinkedIn.
I'll make sure she has over 6,000 followers there. Make sure you don't send hi to her. She will not respond to your message. So go straight to the point. I'm just giving you a tip. Go straight to the point. Tell her this is you, this is what you want, this is what you are doing, and this is how she can actually help you achieve what you want to achieve.
Yeah.
I think I've given you a very good tip on how to actually reach out to her. And thank you. And make sure you encourage her by commenting under this YouTube. Thank you for honoring my invitation once again.
Thank you so much, Chooks, and thank you so much everyone for listening. I'd like to wrap up by saying I've heard a great man say, and some of you might have seen it from Tudia Nokoya, that says that great things can come from small places and small people. And so I encourage each of us, we all have a part to play in contributing to the next generation of raising the next generation of Nigerians, Ghanaians, Americans who are going to be creating innovative solutions that will literally change the world. And it starts from one small thing. And so go out and do your own small thing today. And I wish everyone who is looking forward to coming to graduate school in the US all the best in their own journey. Thank you so much everyone for listening.
Thank you. My guy.
Bye. Who's your guy? Thank you, Jules.